Okay, welcome to the Solari Report. This is Catherine Austin Fitz, and I'm here in Amsterdam on the canals with Nina Heyn, author of Food for the Soul, our favorite column on the Solari Report. And I've wanted for many years to introduce you to Nina, and now I can.
Hello.
Nina was my friend in the movie industry. She had a very successful career in both journalism and in entertainment. And she was always my go-to person for any advice on movies, any advice on culture. And then when you left your last executive position, I said to you, please write a column for the Solari Report on culture. And I knew it would be good, but I never realized how fantastic it would be. Food for the Soul, it was your name. You named it.
Well, there is a reason why I called it Food for the Soul, and the reason is because I think that art or culture in general is something that is my personal escape and a medicine and meditation all rolled into one.
Right.
And instead of watching one more horrible, news piece on the news on television, maybe if you read for 10 minutes about something completely different, about arts, in some faraway country, some movie that has been released that is talking about something interesting, that it gives you this 10 minutes of relaxation and joy and happiness and something that is totally not connected to the daily grind that we all have to experience.
So some of the columns you've written are about museums. Some are about art. Some are about movies.
Well, the idea is that's why it says, that's why I called myself a culture scout. In other words, I'm trying to scout out for the readers the interesting exhibition that is taking place possibly at some place that you will never get to, because we are here right in Amsterdam, for example. There is a wonderful exhibition, but it's not exactly next door for most people.
Right.
Sometimes it's about a movie that maybe just came out because it's the Oscar season, and I just want to point out that this is the movie that for whatever reason is interesting. Sometimes it's a movie that is important because of the subject matter or because it is where it comes from, because I cover foreign films, especially Chinese movies.
Right.
I think that the 21st century to a great extent belongs to China. We all know that, so we all talk about it. But I think that the majority of people who are not living in China or not dealing with China on a daily basis are not very much aware what this country, especially contemporary China, what it is.
Yeah. Some of my favorite stories are what you have to go through to get to the Chinese movie in America.
Well, it's not easy if you're in the States, for example. You literally have to go all the way to Chinatown just to see that movie.
Right.
With some kind of subtitles or without them, and that's the only way to see them because they don't get released.
Now, one of the things I love about Food for the Soul is I never know where the next story is coming from, so you're all over the world.
Well, neither do I. Whatever is an inspiration. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think about something, or maybe I have been actually watching some movie and I think, oh, that might be something that is important. But I try to look for some trends. So in terms of movies, I look for trends, something that is relevant, important, that just came out, or talks about something that might be important to an investor, for example.
Right.
It might be something about the space exploration. It might be something about the geopolitics. It might be about Eastern Europe that is not very well known, but of course is a major geopolitical factor. So I try to find something that might be relevant to a Solari subscriber.
So I want to talk about your passion for this, because it's one thing to go to the Rights Museum, it's another thing to go with you. Because you're so excited about it, and you have this deep knowledge of all the different artists and the times and the history. And so kind of following you around, one of the things Robert was saying yesterday is that everybody started to ask you questions around you. And the next thing you know, you've got a crowd following you. So tell us about this passion. How did it start?
Oh, I think I grew up with art. Art on the walls. My dad was a painter. I remember looking at art books as a kid. My mom wrote about art and culture. I just had it around me, which a lot of people grow up with it. If you grow up here, look at this. If you go from your house that is here to a school that is across the canal, and you look at all these beautiful houses and
Right.
and little architectural details, and then the paintings that are in the museums, you grow up with it. You just
Well, it was
inhale it.
fantastic yesterday. There were so many classes of school children. The Rijksmuseum was filled, and the teachers, the museum had special tutors who were Rijksmuseum employees who would take the class and the teacher around, and it was just, and the kids loved it. They just loved it.
Yeah, the teacher told them find the paintings with something, or this group goes here and the other one, and who finds it faster or something. It was very interactive in a sense that they were very engaged with what they were seeing on the walls. But what these Dutch kids are looking at is their heritage, is their culture. They own that culture.
Right.
To go back to what we wanted to talk about, this is their heritage. This is their life. And that's something that probably should be given to everybody. So in our little small way with Food for the Soul, we're trying to do that, to provide the panacea for all the ills of the everyday life, but at the same time point out that art is something that is necessary for people to to live. After you have taken care of food and shelter and some really basic stuff, the next thing that people wanted in the caves was paintings on the walls. They wanted art.
Right.
A human being cannot live without beauty of some sort.
Right.
You might find this beauty in some decorated spear, for example, or painting on the wall, but people need art. We are art creatures, and anybody who thinks that they don't, then I think they are killing a little bit of their soul. So I cannot live without it.
I almost think of it as a form of nutrition that you must have. That's why I love the title, Food for the Soul. If it's, I could hear my mother's voice, if you're going to do it, you should do it right. And it reminded me of how the debasement really distracts us from taking the time to do something that has extraordinary integrity, and the importance of having integrity in anything that we do and doing things with integrity. And I find Leonardo da Vinci and Rembrandt both, but da Vinci's kind of my favorite. They give you such inspiration, and I saw that in the kids because they're thinking, oh, this is excellent, and I'm part of something that's excellent, and I can be excellent. And that's my reaction every time I look at anything that Da Vinci ever did. And my reaction when I look at Rembrandt, or that, I love to stand in front of the Night Watch. I can stand in front of that painting for a long, long time. So it's inspiring, and it reminds me that we really ought to seek excellence, and we're perfectly capable of it. I love your column because, I told you, whenever I always read it before it publishes, not because I want to check it, because I just want to check it out. So I can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you enough for this introduction for the subscribers, because I think that if you look at how I feel stretched by your presence in my life and everything I've learned from you, including on this trip, I feel totally, I don't know how to describe it. I feel younger. I feel more open. I feel more surprised. I feel more joy. I feel like I've eaten.
But that's not me. It's the arts that you're exposed to. I'm just your guide.
You're my scout.
Your scout.
Yeah, but when you're not around, I end up diving into a lot of bad stuff that doesn't feed my soul. So if I just follow you, I don't need to, I hate to say this, I don't need to think about it, but I'll just follow you. Anyway, so Nina Heyn, thank you so much. On behalf of all of Solari, thank you for what you do for us. You bring us food for our soul.
You're most welcome. And it's a wrap. And now I can put 5 more layers and be completely totally frozen because
She's
I'm now
freezing.
shaking from cold. Literally shaking. Like, look at my hands, they're shaking.
Food for the soul. Nina does Stalingrad.
Yes. I mean, I have a suggestion. Could we tape the next installment in Hawaii? Because I'm so I don't function at that temperature.
Oh, that's
Gives
so
me
funny.
warm. You know, I love wearing, sleeveless T-shirt